Two nights. First night with his trio, second night as a solo act at Hatch Hall. Sullivan Fortner. Sullivan, welcome to the Flower City.
How you doing? It's good to be here.
And outstanding. Congrats on all the amazing success. And the name of your latest album is called?
Moments Preserved.
And again, great title. And talk about that concept, because it's such a cool thing that you're doing. You're doing classic tunes, your own tunes, and everything else in between.
Well, I mean, it wasn't really a concept that I kind of thought out. It's just an album that kind of just happened, had to meet a deadline.
As most creative things happen.
Yeah, you know, and I thought about a lot of the things that had happened to me over the few years prior to recording. And, you know, transitioning out of certain bands that I was in, loss of loved ones, and winning some awards, and, you know. So a lot of things kind of happened within the 3-year span. So I've kind of took songs that I've written over those years and just recorded it.
That was a snapshot of where you are.
That was where you exactly.
Were. Speaking with Sullivan Fortner. Sullivan, so take us to when you won the American Pianist Association Prize. I can't imagine what that must have been like. You're doing that, and all of a sudden you're doing your thing, and all of a sudden they call your name.
Yeah, we were all backstage. I remember it was me, Emmett Cohen, Christian Sands, Zach Lapidus, and Chris Bowers. We were all backstage, and we were all huddled up, you know, all for one, one for all, 3 for 5. No matter who wins, we love each other, this, that, and other. And they called my name, and I thought that I left my wallet on the stage.
Oh, no.
So I was like, damn, somebody got my wallet, or I left my driver's license or some money or a check or something by the piano. And I was like, what happened? They said, no, they called your name because you won. I was like, really? And, you know, still, when people say that I'm a Cole Porter fellow, I'm like, oh, yeah, wow, interesting.
Speaking of Sullivan Fortner, so Sullivan, talk about your experience, your time with Cecile McLaurin-Salvant and what that's been like.
Do you want the PG version? I'm just kidding.
School station.
Oh no, she's beautiful. We had a really good time. We're having a really good time. I just left her yesterday. We were in Toronto, and I met her kind of on the street in New York City. I was hanging out with a friend, and that's my classmate, Cecile. Was like, oh hey, she was like, hey, how you doing? And then she walked off. She thought I was lame, and, you know, I thought she was weird, you know.
The glasses,
yeah, the glasses and the short hair, and the shoes. She was wearing the pink shoes with the fur on it, you know. And I heard her at a jam session. I was like, okay, she sounds pretty good. This was before she got nominated for Grammys and all that stuff. And I think it was during that For One to Love album, right before she won a Grammy, at a gig that December. And I was like, can you do this gig with me at Mesro? And she was like, yeah, let's do it. And like from the first note immediately, it felt like we kind of came from the same womb. You know, it was just such a marriage happened instantly, and it's kind of developed since then.
Speaking with Sullivan Fortner, Sullivan, also talk about your time with Roy Hargrove and his legacy.
Oh man, Roy was an institution for me. I like to say I got my bachelor's degree at Oberlin Conservatory, my master's degree at Manhattan School of Music, and my associate's degree at the Roy Hargrove Institution of Music. That was such a powerful experience for me, and such a brotherhood that we had, all 5 of us, and I really miss him so much. I really, really do.
Speaking of Sullivan Fortner, so Sullivan, you're going to play with the trio tonight. Who's going to be in the band?
The band is Desron Douglas, and the drummer is Joe Dyson Jr. He's also from New Orleans. And I met him when he was 8 years old, man. It's really, really inspiring to watch him. And Desron I've been a fan of for years, so yeah, it's really looking forward to it.
So Sullivan, talk about the music you grew up listening to, because he had the whole 504 boys coming through when you were a kid, and then you got into the jazz world. So talk about your life in terms of as a kid coming up in New Orleans.
My musical experience was mostly in gospel. My family was, you know, straight up church, you know, just church 7 days a week, 25 hours a day, you know. I mean, and if we weren't at church, we were listening to gospel all the time. But not just that. I mean, my dad loved R&B, old school R&B, so I had Otis Redding and the Spinners and all that stuff happening. Stevie Wonder, lots of Earth, Wind and Fire. And jazz was kind of discovered later, like when I got to high school. I was trying to figure out some chords, and they had this guy that came to the church who was like, man, you need to go to New Orleans Center for Creative Arts and learn what these chords are. I was like, okay. So I went to jazz school thinking I was just going to learn chords, and I ended up falling in love with the music.
Surprise.
That was it. Yeah. Now I'm a jazz musician.
There you go. It happens. Sullivan Fortner playing tonight at Max's 2 shows and tomorrow at Hatch. Again, Sullivan, thanks so much for sharing your music with us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.